Hello and welcome back to another tutorial video on how you can achieve this scalloped gathered skirt. Without wasting much time, let's begin. I'll be drafting on this paper before I cut on the fabric, and this is the only paper I've got left, so I'll just be managing this. Now let's assume that this part of the paper is on fold, and I'll make a starting line here at the top. This is the starting line. So before I proceed, we'll be taking the vertical measurements. This starting line is assumed to be the waist for the skirt. So from the waist to the hip is 6.5. So I'll mark 6.5 here. And from the hip to the dropped waist, that is where the gathers will be starting from, is 10.5. So I'll be marking 10.5 here. And now the full length of the skirt is 18. So after taking these measurements, I'll just extend the lines all the way so that we can take the horizontal measurements. This full length I took for the skirt is inclusive of the waistband. So I'll be marking the waistband separate, and the waistband I'll be using 2 inches. So I'll just mark 2 inches from here. From the waist down, I'll mark 2 inches, and this will be the waistband for the skirt. So I'll go ahead to extend the line as well. On this part, I'll be taking the horizontal measurement. The waist I'm working with is 25. 25 divided by 4 is 6.25. So I'll be marking 6.25 here. And I also bring the 6.25 down here. This now becomes our waist measurement. I'll add sewing allowance to it. So I'll be adding 1 inch sewing allowance to this. So I'll just mark 1 inch here and 1 inch here, and I'll also bring the line down. Now on this hip line, the hip I'm working with is 30. 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So I'll be marking 7.5 here. Then additional 1 inch for sewing allowance will be marked here. I'll be using this curve ruler to join the waist to the hip. And I'll join the allowance as well. Now this hip measurement, I'll bring it down to the dropped waist. 7.5 and additional 1 inch for sewing. I will also extend the measurements down to the full length of the skirt. 7.5 and additional 1 inch for sewing. So I'll be using my ruler to extend the lines. Now this is what we've got. Be creating that scallop along the dropped waist, not on the hip line. The scallop will be made along the drop waist. This dropped waist, I'll be going up by 3 inches. It depends on how deep or shallow you want your scallop to be, but I want it to be very visible. So I'll be going up by 3 inches. So I'll mark my 3 inches here, and I'll be going in by half of what I have here. So what I have here is 7.5. I'll divide it by 2 and just mark it here. And on this part, this side of the skirt, I'll be going up by 3 inches as well. I'll be using my armhole curve to create the scallop. So from this point here, this 3 inches point, I'll join it to the midpoint here. So I'll just place my armhole curve like this and join it. On this part, I'll place my ruler like this and join the 2 points. We have successfully created our scallop. Remember, I said this middle line here is on fold. Then I will make a straight line across like this for the same allowance. So because this part is same allowance, it will be closed when we are gathering. Now I want to slash this lower part because we'll be separating it completely from the upper skirt. I want to slash it, and we spread it to cut our fabric to gather along this scallop. So I'll be dividing this from here to here into 3. 7.5 divided by 3 is going to give us 2.5. So I'm marking 2.5 from here to here. and here. So here another 2.5. So I have 3 lines here, and I'll be doing the same thing here. 2.5 and another 2.5. I'll be extending this line all the way up. The reason for slashing this, because let me mark it 1, 2, 3. We'll be needing this numbering when we want to spread it across the fabric. And the reason why I did this is because I want an even hem. By the time I attach my gathered fabric to the scallop, I want the hem to be even. I don't want one part getting longer than the other part. So by the time we are done with the skirt, you understand what I mean. Next, after numbering these 3, I'll go ahead and cut out the pattern. Remember, I did not add allowance to the bottom hem. So by the time you are cutting, you add your allowance. By the time you are spreading this, you put your allowance. So you can put your allowance now before you spread. But I just decided to leave here so that I can use my discretion to add the allowance to the bottom. So let's go ahead and cut this out. So this is what we have. I'll be using this same pattern to cut the back, and for the back I'll just leave 1 inch on this center fold. Make sure to mark this place as center front, and for this one make sure you mark this as center fold, middle and side. So when I'm cutting on my fabric and I want to cut the back, I'll just leave 1 inch allowance for the zipper, because the zip is going to be at the back. But if you want your zip to be on the side, then there's no need leaving allowance at the back. But I want the zip to be at the back, so I'll be leaving 1 inch allowance for the zipper. Next, I'll go ahead and cut out the waist. This is the waist. I'm going to mark it waist and center fold. So the same for the waist. When I'm cutting the back waist, I'll be leaving 1 inch allowance, and when I'm cutting the front waist, this part will be on fold. Now, to cut on your fabric, ensure that you leave ½ inch allowance at the top and at the bottom. The same with the waist, leave ½ inch allowance at the top and at the bottom. Then when you're cutting your gathers using the slash and spread method, ensure you leave ½ inch allowance at the top when you are cutting, and for the bottom you can leave as much as 1 or 1.5 inches. It depends on how wide you want your hem to be. So I'll just take this and proceed to cut on the fabric. For this waist, the center front here, I'll be coming down by 0.25. I'll be coming down by 0.25. This is it, and I'll use my curve ruler to join it to this point. So after joining, I'll cut this out before I cut on the fabric. I'll be cutting this. Let me just cut it out now so that we don't get confused. This is top, bottom. Ensure you do this marking so that you don't get confused when you're cutting on your fabric. And this is going to be our waistband. I've cut it into 3. This is 1, 2 and 3, and this is the fabric where I'll be cutting on. So this side is on fold. When I was drafting, I said we'll assume this edge is on fold, so I made a straight line to allow for even hem, and I left 2 inches for hemming. So on this straight line, I'll be placing this. I want the distance between each of them to be either 9 or 10. So I'll be marking. The fabric is quite thick, so I don't want to face any difficulty when I'm gathering. So I'll mark 9 inches here and place the second one, and I'll mark 9 inches again and place the third one. So this is the third one. I'll now go ahead and trace it, leaving allowance for sewing. I'm not leaving allowance here because I won't be needing any allowance to join it to the skirt. Make this straight here. So I'll cut this out, and I'll cut for the back as well. But when I'm cutting for the back, on this side, because the zipper will be at the back, on this side I'll be leaving 1 inch allowance for zip. So this one I'm cutting is for the front. I'll use this same one to cut for the back as well. So we'll be having 2 of this piece for front and the back. So I'll be using this to cut for the back. I've cut for both back and front. This is the 1 inch allowance, and I'll be using this lining, cotton lining. So this is the upper part of the skirt, which I'll start with. I'll be adding lining to this part too. So I'll just cut and make it shorter. It won't be same length as this. I'll just make it shorter. Then for the skirt, I'll just take it to my machine and start joining. So let me just take these pins out. This is the front and these are the sides. So I'll just put the sides together. Put the sides together. So I'll just join the sides together. Do the same thing. What I've done here, I'll do the same thing for the lining. Then I'll bring it back and show us the next step. I'm done joining the sides of the skirts. This is the waist. And I did the same thing on the lining. So after joining, I just ironed the seam open. So now I'll be facing the wrong side of the lining towards the wrong side of the main fabric. So I'll face them to each other like this and run a stitch along the waistline and the bottom hem. And on these bottom parts, I've joined the lining. The fabric was not enough, so I had to do some joining. I've joined the lining to the bottom parts. I joined the front and the back. So from here to here is for the back, and from here to here is for the back. So what I did, I just joined them here using 1/2 inch. If I fold it into two like this, this was what we cut out initially. This was what we cut out initially. So now after joining the back to the front, this is what we have, a full strip. So I'll just notch the middle and match it to this, then gather this to this and this to this. So we have 1 2 3 4, and on the bottom we have 1 2 3 4. So you just notch them accordingly, then gather them onto the upper part of the skirts. So you pin them, sorry, not notch, you pin them accordingly, according to this V shape. When you pin them, you gather them. I ran a gathered stitch, but this is Mikado and it's quite thick, so I won't be using this gathered stitch to make my ruffles. I'll use my hand to make my ruffles along the scallop. So like I said, just count your sharp ends, 1 2 3 4, and pin them accordingly. On the bottom you have 4 as well, 1 2 3 4. So you pin them accordingly, then gather round. So before then, let me just, I'll sew along the waist and sew along the scallop so that I'll have a structured scallop to attach my gathers to it. So after joining, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. You can see I followed the scallop up and down, and this is how it looks like inside. And this is how the outer part looks like. See the scallop. This is the inside of the skirt. What's left to do is just to attach the waistband. So I've already cut the waistband. I'll bring it for us to see. Attach the waistband and fix the zipper at the back. So I'll weave these rough edges before I go ahead to finish it up. I've also cut our waistband. This is the center front and this is the back. So I cut 2 for the back and 1 long piece for the front. I used this pattern from our original pattern, and I left 1/2 inch up, 1/2 inch at the bottom when I was cutting. So I'll just be taking this and joining it like this. I'll join it using the allowance I left for sewing, and for this one I'll place it this way and join it as well. So I'll do for this and this one. I've joined the sides of the band, and the next thing I'll be doing is to open this up, and I'll face right side to right side. Use 1/2 inch to run a straight stitch along the top stitch and turn over. After this, I'll be notching these curved parts. So I'll just notch this curved part. I'll notch it round. I'll just turn this over and top stitch. After top stitching, this is what we've got. I'll fold this over and I'll run a straight stitch at the bottom so that it will be easy for me to attach it to the skirt. So after folding this is how the waistline will be looking like. I went ahead to notch the middle, and for the skirts I've also notched the middle of the skirt, that is the waistline. Now I'll be placing the notch, I'll match the two notches together. Our top stitch will be facing up because it's the wrong side, then this side will be facing the right side of the skirt. Make sure that the side seam on both sides aligns with the side seam of the waistband. After doing this, I'll run a straight stitch along the waistline. Done fixing the waistband. This is it. See how neat, although I've not ironed this, but it's looking neat already. So the next thing I'll be doing is to hem the bottom of the skirts. This is the allowance I left for hemming. I'll just take half inch in, take half inch and fold it over on this line. So I'll be hemming it and I'll hem the lining as well. Then after hemming, I'll proceed to weave all rough edges, the waistline, the scallop and the zip allowance. After weaving, I'll just attach the zip and show us the finished look. Thank you for staying to the end of this video, and if you found this tutorial helpful, kindly support this channel by sharing, like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment if you have any, turn on your notification bell so that you get notified when I upload a new video, because I'll be uploading a new video every week and you wouldn't want to miss any. Thank you for watching. Bye.